I'm driving. There's my drink. We're way up here in the sky. Well, we're on a bridge. Here goes a blue car. All right, welcome to the Please Subscribe show. We'll be dealing with food. I'll be dropping it off at your doorstep. Linda's gonna be kind of making it and dropping it off right next to the point of sale system. Bit me in my sword again, so he knew where to bite, so he went right there. He's okay though. I put him in the bathroom for a little bit for timeout. Yeah, now he's sleeping on the recliner. All right, it's February 8th. There's gas going in. See, it's got prepaid. 304 down the road, it's $2.99. And there's that. And I got myself a drink, which is mixture of cherry slushy and Coca-Cola. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. Okay, give me a kissy. Give me a little kissy. Okay. Over there's McDonald's, and I could probably get a breakfast there, like an EggMcmuffin. And I don't know. I don't go to McDonald's, but I'm gonna go by there and check out the pricing. And then I'll get the EggMcmuffin and I'll eat it, and you can watch me eat it, and then we'll go and start dropping food off at your doorstep. All right, and someone left a gift. This is a nice little chair right here. Kind of see it. It's pretty nice. It's got like different cut, like colors. That is a nice chair. I would get it, but I don't have like a truck. But someone else will probably get it. It's a pretty nice chair. You got to dust it off. There's a lot of people that are in furniture repair. Okay, so let's look at the average price on it right now. $6.19. Oh, is that for the meal? No, it's $3.79 for the
Thank
cart.
you for choosing McDonald's. Are you using your mobile app today?
No, I'm just picking up.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna place
DoorDash?
I'm gonna place an order. No, it's not that. This is just
Oh, okay.
my personal breakfast. Okay, so the Egg McMuffin comes to $3.79 before tax. So, you know, I didn't get the full meal or anything. I got a little bit of soda. And then we just, boom, it was just switch over and psh, Egg McMuffin in my mouth, and then boom, we'll start picking up food and dropping off at your doorstep, that kind of thing. Watching a little 60-minute interview of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, they're going to be up there with like Led Zeppelin and, you know, all the greats. They talk a lot about jazz, and they kind of invented a new style. They mished up a lot of different music, and then, you know, ideally I didn't know the lead singer, he just wanted to rap, and then later on it turned into all the melodic singing. But they were kind of a novelty band that made it really, really big. So they weren't really joking around, but they kind of were. And then they were just kind of meshing all the music together, and then it got real serious. Now they're still playing, and they're in their 60s. They're like the Rolling Stones kind of thing now. Well, the Rolling Stones are like in their 80s or something, and they're still playing. They're geriatric, and they're jumping around. The Red Hot Chili Peppers are not exactly young, and guys are still jumping around and doing 2-hour shows and stuff. It's sick. Huh, I got a message. I saw Marcel Marceau, the mime, in his 70s, doing mime for nearly 2 hours. Just amazing performers. It's just amazing. They got some kind of energy. Okay, I had to get a hold of Old School Grubhub. They're out of Chicago, and they're backed up with tax stuff and all this craziness. But I got a hold of them finally after several calls. And I don't know, this year, because of a lot of things, I don't know. It's fine last year, I didn't have any problems with them. This is the Egg McMuffin. It's $4.10 after tax. This is my breakfast. About that size, so pretty good breakfast. It's not too bad. I don't know why they don't sell these like at the grocery store. You can just re-microwave them or microwave them. There must be a reason. It's got the egg, the ham and cheese. It's good, yeah. It's like a little mixture, and it's got a little English muffin. We're all familiar. She asked me if I wanted jelly. I said no, but I take it straight. I do take a lot of cream and sugar in my coffee. I didn't get coffee. What I did is I mixed up some soda, Coca-Cola, and I did it like they had no ice, so I squirted a little bit of a Coca-Cola Slurpee inside at the next door 7-Eleven. Not too bad. I'd rather have the ice, but you know, just straight up soda, it's kind of warm, you know, it's not really that warm, but you can put ice in it, but I just put the Slurpee for the ice. All right. I'm gonna do a shot of the mouse right over here. A lot of screenplay writers, they'll set down the screenplay and say, this is the movie, don't deviate from a single word, and you got yourself a hit. And I don't believe that, and I think John Milius would agree with me. David Lynch and Ingmar Bergman and all those guys, they'll write it and they'll say, this is it, we're not deterring, we're not going off the script. Maybe, you know, but I don't feel that that's the case. Like, John Milius was kind of like a lead guitar player in a rock band. He may have done a little bit of that, but they'd bring him in, he'd do a solo. But really what it was a monologue. So if you look at like Steven Spielberg with Jaws, he brought in John Milius to write the monologue that pretty much saved the movie. And that was from Robert Shaw's monologue talking about the Japanese sending out a missile, or torpedo, it was a torpedo into the side of Indianapolis, the warship, you know, the American warship that sunk. And then they were eaten by tiger sharks. Gotta have that monologue in Jaws or the whole movie sucks. And that was John Milius. He came in with a great solo. That's a monologue. See, sometimes, and he was just a screenwriter, you know, John Milius, but he did direct, and he's like one of our greatest. He did that for several movies. And, you know, he worked with Tom Noble. I've been in Tom Noble's house when I was studying acting. Didn't even know. When I was there, I had no idea who Tom Noble was. I would have stayed. I wouldn't have gone to the actor studio or anything. I ended up going off the actor studio. I was right there in the middle of Hollywood. There was no way I was going to fail. I was around a guy that hung out with John Milius, you know, that worked with him. Tom Noble was one of the main editors. I ran away from, like, I was right there in the den of kings, you know. I was basically in heaven, and I jumped out and went to New York. Diane told me not to go. I didn't know. I mean, I saw Diane as a small kind of B film actress, you know, because she worked in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and she was Simone, and, you know, she wasn't exactly as big as Nicole Kidman, but she probably could hold her own. And I knew I was close, but I didn't know I was that close because, well, another stupid thing about me, too, is Tom Noble has an Oscar. So I was sitting there, you know, every day when we would go by, or we'd go in his writing room, there was the Oscar sitting on the mantle shelf. And I said, oh, isn't that an Oscar? And Diane's like, yeah, that's Tom Noble's Oscar. You know, that was like her boyfriend, or her friend boy, I don't know, or her friend. So it never registered to me, even though I saw the Oscar, you know, sitting on the mantle. It never registered where I was. You're in shock, you know, because you don't know. That's like whenever I was standing shoulder to shoulder with Jim Carrey, it never registered. Like I was on set, I was on the Hollywood set with Frank Darabont, one of the greatest directors in Hollywood, never registered. To me, in my mind, it was just some small-time director that was trying to use Jim Carrey in some weird movie, you know, called The Majestic. But I thought, okay, this movie might work, you know, and it turned out to be a big sleeper and a masterpiece kind of thing, you know. You don't register it, you know. It doesn't. You don't see, like, if you're a guitar player that's been playing guitar your entire life, and you're right next to Slash, it doesn't really register really until like maybe a year later, and then you realize, wow, I played right next to. I'm sure Johnny Depp goes through the same thing when he plays guitar with, you know, Slash. It doesn't register to him until like a year later or something. I mean, I could be wrong. But anyway, I mean, there's so many people involved in Hollywood that it's hard to know all the names. And if I would have emailed some of my friends at the time, we could use email. I used NetZero at the time. This is like 2001. I'm bringing the memory back. If I would have emailed a friend and said, I'm at some guy's house named Tom Noble, hanging out with Diane Salinger, you know, Simone from Pee Wee Herman's, they were like, stay put, everything's fine. And then I got into the actor studio and then left, you know. Of course, at that point, Lipton was going to take me. They were like, you know, I was being offered a script to be on Showtime, I think, and then they gave it to Luke Perry. But still, I could have struggled for 5 years doing that. I was running errands, making copies for Diane. You know, I was still taking 20s here and there and then doing like yard work. So I don't know. New York's a big change, though. You have to do that, though, I think, a little bit. I think that happens. So you go out there and you're, like, about to make it, and then you run off to New York. I think that's very common. So it's very common. Because you got to get that New York feel when you're struggling. Although it's scary. I barely even had $700 when I arrived in New York. I think that's a common number, too. They usually have about $700 when they arrive in New York. That's enough for a little bit of the first month's rent, you know, when you're walking around New York City. But then again, why would you, even if I was majorly famous, you know, and got on a roll, you still probably would want to accept that and go out to New York and study at the actor studio. You probably still would want to, because even big time movie stars that are wrapped up in doing movie after movie, they don't always get a chance to do it. So I learned something there. I get to take that with me. And I guess once I got back after 9/11, you know, I just stayed here, and I've just been writing since, because it's so difficult to get into Los Angeles. It's so difficult to get in. I was becoming a citizen of Los Angeles. It's very difficult. Nowadays, it's even harder, because back then, and I'm just going back again, 2000, 2001, back then, you know, in that year of 2001, you know, you could probably show up at Los Angeles with $700, and you might be able to land, you know, something. Nowadays, you'd probably need $3,000. You'd probably need at least $3,000 just to land, you know, properly. Because you probably got to pay $1,000 to get into the place, $1,000 for the first, well, no, at least $1,000 just to get in, $2,000 minimum for a really small place, just for that first month. I was able to get in 2001 to a place called Paradise Gardens in Long Beach, right off Atlantic. I sent them $700 to hold the place, or something like that. They required the first month's rent to hold it, and then once I arrived with the other month's rent. I was paying like $700. That place now, probably over $2,000. We're talking a 20-year difference. So that's a big difference in my generation. You know, $700 is one thing, $2,000 is another. It's a lot of information in a few minutes. So when I do finalize my werewolf script, Grace, aka Werevlog, I do plan to send it out there. But I have another script that I'm putting down on notes right now that I'm planning just to do, you know, myself. I have no problem with that at all. And we're talking like a shoestring budget, and we're talking post-apocalyptic, you know. So we're talking about a good post-apocalyptic I Am Legend kind of thing, without all the CGI and craziness, just like kind of Bergman style kind of thing. And I have no problems doing that. You know, I'm getting ready to do that. I'm writing around a budget on the next one. But I was taught at the beginning to write with no budget in mind. So an unlimited amount of budget, and to really work hard on it and then send that out. If they like it, then we can negotiate a deal. You know, we can negotiate what they would want to pay. And then right after that, I'm going to go right into my own thing. That's what I'm going to do anyway. It's going to be pretty much a two-person little post-apocalyptic. I'm not going to really call it a zombie film, but it's going to be something like that involving a cat, and I'm good to go. You know? So it's impossible to really bring down the writer. It's almost impossible. As long as they can get a hold of a pen, some type of pen, and some paper, they're good to go. So, and plus we have these things, you know, so it's really is, for the filmmaker and the writer, it is almost heaven right now. I mean, it's amazing. Back then, you know, maybe in the 80s going into maybe 2000, you still have to have that video camera. If you made that film and it was stuck on a VHS tape, no one would be able to see it unless they came over and watched it. Or you made multiple copies of the VHS tape and passed them out. Or, you know, even in the 90s or late 90s, they'd make multiple copies of the DVD. You know, they'd have DVDs in their trunk, and they just pass out the movie to people. They may charge a little bit. They could still do that. It was just it was a big headache. Now we just press buttons and it just goes up to a site, and we just wait. And if they catch it, it's just like fishing. You make the little movie, however big or small you want to make it, with a script and everything. You throw it out there with a little hook, and you just wait. It's literally got that way today. And then if they really like it, then you move up and you go to the other levels, and then you're working with WB and 20th Century Fox and Paramount or whoever, because you started, you know, low and moved your way up. You know, it can really be that way. It's not a whole lot of different. We just don't have to wait like months for the film to develop. You know, we just have to be patient and just, you know, send it out there. So, but I would not be able to make the werewolf film without a big budget. I don't think I would attempt it. There's a lot of them I have, that the script that I have, you know, these I can attempt on my own, which is maybe like one or two, and the other 50 are all just kind of stacked up, and I don't even really send them anywhere. But I am going to probably send out Grace, aka Werevlog, and I'll send that out probably, I don't know when. It'll be some time. Like I said, when it's ready to print, when I'm ready to actually print it out, you know, on a printer, and I think it's worthy, then I think it'll be good to put in someone's hands. And I've got some, I think, Grim Life, I may send it to them.